Excited to have the opportunity to chat with you all. You may notice, if you know me, my voice is a little off today. Uh, tis the season, as they say, right? All right, perfect. So this is muted. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spotlight for everyone myself and my friend Carol. I can't wait for you to get to meet her. My friends, I can't wait for you to meet her. And her friends, I can't wait for you to get to know me a little bit. Hi, Carol.
Hi, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to meet everybody. I've been looking forward to this all week.
I know you've been working hard. This is a little out of the box of what you typically do, and I was so
Oh,
thrilled.
yeah.
Yes.
And then I sent an email out to my list this morning. Only at first, I sent it only to one person by accident.
Oh no. Well, I did see your email a little bit about the event. So that at least went also to me, unless I was the one
No,
to.
I discovered it and got it to everybody, but I just
Oh,
thought
good,
that
good.
was like, there's my comfort. My comfort zone is being in a dye pot.
Yes, absolutely. Um, so for everyone that has joined us, my name is Jessica A's, and I am everything, almost everything, behind Double the Stitches. Sorry for getting started a little bit late. We had a cat emergency. When she was a kitten, she used to be able to crawl under our bed, and we have drawers, and we used to be able to pull the drawers out, and she would just come out of the drawer. She is not a kitten anymore. She's a fat cat, and so she got under. I don't know how she got under there. That's my next thing I'm gonna do when we hop off is make sure she can't do that again because she was under our bed and crying. So
Trump's team was
cats be
critical.
cats.
They actually went out.
Um,
Trump's team was critical in this negotiation.
okay. So what I'm gonna do is to introduce myself a little bit more. So like I said, my name is Jessica. I Double the Stitches is the name of my brand. I design knitting patterns, a couple of crochet patterns. I host a membership called the Stitch Society, and I'm the host of the Knit Happy Summit, and that's why we are here today. And Carol is a wonderful artist, a beautiful creative person, and just a wonderful soul, a wonderful human being. And I'm so excited that I asked her if she would join me for the summit, and she said yes. So I'm going to let her introduce herself a little bit and share who she is, what she does, and what she's going to talk about during our summit.
Thank you, Jessica. And first of all, thank you for all the hard work of hosting the summit and the speakers that you have. It's
Oh, did I?
okay. Let me try again. All right. So I said, thank you, Jessica. First of all, thank you for hosting this summit, this awesome summit, because this I've just the lineup of speakers is unbelievable. I have to out myself right away by saying what I'm not, which is I'm not a knitter. I am a textile artist. I'm a weaver. I'm a stitcher and a dyer. I've done a little bit of quilting, art quilting. There's I've done three-dimensional, and I've spent 25 years teaching textiles, but have never actually done much knitting except for once in graduate school. I started knitting and I began knitting this thing. And when it got to be 7 feet long, I stopped. And I turned it into I don't even know what happened. I wish I still had it. It's probably somewhere. I just couldn't. When I see what you all do, the art that's in it and the history of it, it makes me want to start doing it, but then I never get a chance to do the other things I do. So it's hard. But the place I can intersect is the love of color, the love of pattern, the love of fiber. And I'm hoping what I can bring to you is I do a lot of dyeing. I'm going to be talking about how to dye your yarn in a canning jar, which if you're going to be doing a big project, you'd need a pot. So I can tell you how to do that too. But my presentation is canning jars because sometimes you might just want to dye a little yarn or try something different or just get just that right color or all creative people love to have extra talents to add to their stash. I just really believe that. And I work a lot with quilting groups, and they'll and teach them to dye wool fabric for their quilts. And so really I get this secret pass into the knitting world and find out all about what y'all do. And I can't wait to watch the presentations. And there's just so much to it. I just admire you all so much. And I can't wait to share the expertise that I have. One thing that I'm probably know the most about is color. And the other thing is meditative practice. And I do meditative stitching, which includes knitting, because I love that Jessica's membership is called Double the Stitches, because that's the intersection that Jessica, and how long have we known each other, Jessica, now?
Um, at least 3 years.
Yeah, I feel like it could even be 4. And even in the beginning, we were kindred souls, just with the love of our craft and the love of community and love of people. So the thing that I know, whether you're stitching cloth or knotting or netting, whatever you're doing, that it's meditative practice. And a dear friend of mine, she has a yarn company. She's called Miss Babs. Some of you might know what it is, but she's always knitting whenever I'm around her. Knit, knit, knit all the time. And it's I can see that it takes her to that place of calm. So that's kind of who I am a little bit. And hopefully over the next course of the summit, we can get to know each other more. And I'm happy to, do more Zooms, Jessica, if you want, during the summit, whatever, if people want to know about dyeing, I'm glad to have a Q&A. So
perfect. Yeah, my throat's not so great today, but we're gonna out and I'll do my best. So one of the things that Carol was talking about, meditation and things like that, and we're part of a program together for our businesses. And it was just over a year ago, she did a color meditation um during a retreat for Sandra's Emerald group.
yeah, so it was.
Yeah. And I didn't know what to expect going into it, but it was it was a difficult time in my life, but it just touched me in a way that like I really didn't expect. It brought out, things, emotions, thoughts, feelings that I wasn't expecting. Oh, it's a color meditation, but like it brought up a lot of stuff to the surface. And so that was very special for me.
Yeah, it's funny because when you first invited me, you were thinking about my stitch meditation as an offering. And I really thought about that. But I was thinking, do I have any skills that knitters might actually put into practice? And that's why I decided to go with canning jar dyeing. However, that being said, I think there's a place in some of these, we're going to be doing several panel discussions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a couple of good places to talk about meditative practices, because so many of us, we have such busy lives. Maybe we're mothers or daughters, or we're caregiving older people, or we've got a full-time job that's just so stressful. And our craft, I mean, knitting fits right into that, is such an easy way to be able to do sort of active meditation. Because I kind of got into stitch meditation because I kind of always have to be doing something, like just to sit there and meditate. Like, it would be suggested to me, why don't you just slow down, do mindful practice? And I'd sit there and try to meditate, but I'd be thinking of all the things I had to do. The dishes are dirty. I have to do the laundry. I need to go out and shovel the walk, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But walking meditation will do that. Like if you're taking a walk and your meditation, you're sort of accomplishing that. And stitching, you're doing something beautiful. Knitting, you're making something beautiful. But your hands, I mean, I'm sure there are many of you, if you have to be thinking it, and tell me if this is true, because I've wondered about this. If you're doing a complex pattern, do you have to maybe be concentrating on it, like how many, and you not make a mistake? But if you're just doing like what I was doing with knitting that long thing, sometimes I just go into daydreaming, and then I look down and there'd be another whole foot.
Yeah, I think simple patterns like with knitting, say garter stitch or stockinette stitch, which are the very basic stitches of knitting. Once you get the hang of it, I think it definitely is a I don't call it mindless, but it doesn't require the same level of focus. Those are the types of things that are good for, knitting in social situations or knitting while you're watching TV or a movie or things like that. And it keeps your hands busy. And a lot of people use that even when they attend meetings or conferences or things like that, because it kind of occupies like that roaming part of the brain and allows you to better focus on the presentation, the information that's being presented during the meeting. So a lot of people use it that way. More complex patterns like just checking to see if there's anything in the chat yet.
Yeah, I look at
Um,
the same thing. I wonder if anybody has questions about this.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have questions, feel free. You're welcome to unmute and ask a question. If I have muted you, it's only because I was picking up background noise. There's little microphones next to your name, so I can see if there's noise popping up, who's has a TV on the background, that kind of thing. So just to make the listening to the chat more enjoyable. But please feel free if you have a question. You can raise your hand. You can just go ahead and unmute. You can share in the chat too. We'd love to know what you're wondering. And so the rest of your question, Carol, more complicated patterns that have a stitch repeat. So I have something that I'm working on here. It's not complicated, but it's not very simple.
Oh, that's beautiful. What a beautiful ombre.
Um, um, so it's 8 stitches, and depending on the row, it's it's knit across or it's knit 5 and then do something else. So you have to keep track of, where you are in the row. So there is a little bit of that having to think about what you're doing and having to focus and
I
block
guess
out
the
the rest of the world.
I guess the parallel to that in stitching could be sashiko. There's a type of stitching, it's Japanese stitching. It's called sashiko, and quilters use it a lot. And there's very, very complex patterns that people use. It's really just a running stitch, which if any of you know what that is, it's just you go in and out with the needle, in and out and in and out, just like basic mending.
Mhm.
But they can get very, very intricate. So if you're doing meditative mending, you can just kind of go off into la la land if you're just going along straight. But if you have to concentrate, maybe not so meditative then.
Yeah. I'll share my screen just for a super quick second. I pulled up a picture of what Carol's talking about.
Yeah.
So you can get an idea of these are all different stitch patterns. And so some of them are much simpler and some require more thought.
Oh,
There's
I
just
have
a
a
lot.
question looking at this.
Oh,
So, could you knit, like, I've seen these intricate fisherman sweaters. Could you knit, like, say, the pattern down in the bottom left is like that 3-leaved pattern. Could you do a knitting pattern that actually made that raised surface on a sweater?
um, I don't know how it would work as a raised pattern. You could definitely, I think, do it in color work with like a very thin yarn, like where you were knitting, like say 2 colors at a time, the blue and the white being different threads, like a Fair Isle type of
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you could have those
postal.
shapes there. I
Yeah,
didn't even
that
think
would be
about that
interesting
until
to
just
try.
looking at this.
Yeah, we'll
One thing
see.
I do know how to do is that shaped knitting. So you can tie knots in a lot of those sashiko patterns. You can take like little rocks or marbles or beans or whatever, and you make a knit. You knit some like a scarf or a piece of knitted textile
Hmm.
that is a fairly loose knit and a yarn that will felt.
Hmm.
And I think I have a slide about it in the presentation that I'm going to give. I have a couple of slides at the end that are just like other ways to use dyes that isn't canning jars, but just like other things that I've done with knitted fabric. I have used knitted fabric in my artwork at different times where there were people who had knitting machines and they
Hmm.
could knit me like a big long length of like a loose knit, and then it would be a knitted fiber that would felt, like a wool that will felt or something like that. And wherever you tie the beans or the marbles or whatever it is, it won't felt, and it felts around them, and then you get like this very bubbly textured things.
Oh, that sounds so interesting. Um, Yeah. So for those of you who don't know what the summit is or how it works, I wanted to just kind of briefly go over that. It is an event happening starting next Thursday, January 23rd through Sunday the 26th. It is free to attend. You get each day there's a new group of presentations that are shared, and you get 48 hours to watch those presentations for free. So it doesn't cost any money to join us for that. If you're interested in learning more details, you can find those at knithappysummit.com/Carol. That's Carol's affiliate link. So she'll earn a little thank you that won't cost you anything extra. The thank you comes from me. You will see after the free sign up, you will be offered an option to upgrade to a VIP ticket, which gives you ongoing and unlimited access to watch the presentations. It gives you bonuses, over $580 in bonuses from our speakers. These are things of actual real value, things that they charge for, whether they are bundles of knitting patterns, workshops, guides, ebooks, all kinds of things that you would actually pay money worth well more than the price tag. There is a lower tier that gives you just ongoing access to the presentation without the bonuses. But the VIP package also gives you 3 private knit nights with just the VIPs. And you'll get the best price when that first like 30 minutes after you sign up for free. So if you think you might be interested, do it from a quiet place so that you can read through and make the best decision for you. Um, and you also in the VIP package get 30 days free in My Stitch Society membership. We have some members that are here. Chris and Debbie, I see that you guys are here, so thank you for joining. And Susan, happy to see you too. So you get 30 days to try the membership, see if it's a good fit for you. And we're just gonna have fun together. We're gonna learn about knitting. We're gonna learn about different different techniques like brioche and double knitting and cable knitting, like Carol was talking about. And lace knitting, we're gonna learn about how to estimate your yarn, how much yarn you're gonna need, how to get gauge, how to adjust sweater patterns to fit if you have curves.
I saw one about putting a dart in a sweater. That looked
Yeah.
so interesting to me. Even though I don't know how to knit a sweater, the idea that you could put a dart in one is fascinating. And
Yeah.
you've got a spinner, right? You've got a spinner coming
Yes.
this time for the first
Yes.
time.
Yes.
And there's some games.
Erin
There's
is teaching how to make a drop spindle from stuff you have around the house. So if you want to try spinning, you don't have to make a big investment starting out with, fancy equipment. If you have questions about fancy equipment, she's the person to go to because she is a partner with a spinning wheel brand, but she's teaching the DIY stuff to begin with. Yeah, we're talking about garment fit and getting gauged, which is getting the number of stitches that you have in your fabric to match the designer so that the end result fits. Because no one likes to make a sweater, put all that time, energy, money, effort into a sweater, and then it's teeny, teeny, tiny or huge and gigantic.
Oh, don't forget
Yes.
about, and now I can't even remember what it's called, but we are donating
Yes.
toward the something kitchen, which is helping out not only my end of the world, which I'm in East Tennessee. So there's people that are living up on the mountains in tents in the snow right now. It's horrible. They don't even have firewood. It's horrible. And then the other end of the country, all of the devastation of the wildfires. And what is it called? Something
It's
kitchen.
called World Central Kitchen.
Yes.
They have there is a video, like a documentary on, I think it's on Netflix and Hulu, about them. And they are not one of these big bloated organizations that are just, lining the pockets of the CEO. They're really the majority of the money goes to actually help the people. So I'm donating a portion of the profits from those upgraded sales, those upgraded tickets to this charity. They have a 4-star rating as far as charities go. Charity Navigator, I think, is the website that rates the charities. Their website is wck.org, I think.
I
Yeah,
just feel really honored to be able to give some gifts and in some way help that, because it's, it's, we can't drive out of our house and over the mountain without seeing just these flattened houses. It's just, yeah.
yeah. And they really are usually first in line to help. They are on the ground. When there was the hurricanes and stuff in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
they were
Yeah.
there. I think on their website it talks about different places that they've been to help. They pre-stationed themselves in Florida, knowing what was about to happen in Tennessee and North Carolina. So they could be there quickly. And the food is good food. The food is provided by chefs because when the area is in devastation, no one's looking to the chefs for, fancy gourmet meals. So they put
They
their,
know how to make do with very little. They have to learn that.
yeah,
So it's good.
yeah. So they know how to make the most out of what they have and how to make it taste good. So,
Yeah. So
yeah.
glad I remembered that.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions for me about the summit, for Carol, about what she does? She has done such beautiful work. I'm gonna let me find her website.
I can share my screen. Actually, I pulled a piece up because I have never even shown
Oh,
you this.
oh, I'd love to see. Let
Yeah,
me give
I
you.
haven't. Yeah, it's my latest commission that I installed last year, and I haven't had time to. Let me see. I'm going to just share this.
Yeah, Carol developed a technique of what she calls stitch and dye.
Can you
Um,
see this?
yes, I do see it.
Yeah. So that piece is actually 15 feet by 8 feet. Because these people have a very large. It's in a residence, and it's done with the type of dyes that I'm going to be teaching you how to do. So these colors, this all starts out white, and I dye the fabric in a pot at different stages. Actually, a few of these pieces actually were dyed in canning jars, believe it or not.
Mhm.
And then I stitch it all together. So that's a easier. And I have a website. We can put it in the show notes, right? What my website is.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can put it in the YouTube notes and stuff. It's is it Carol LeBaron Dyes? Is that the right one?
No, carollebaron.com.
Ah, okay.
Just https carollebaron.com.
Put that there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Carol LeBaron Dyes is my workshop site.
Ah,
That's carollebaron.com is everything, and I'm still building it. So
okay, yeah. So that is Carol's website if you want to learn more, in detail about her and what she does. And I'll also add her link for the summit.
So I cannot say enough about how excited I am about this summit, by the way. And it makes me want to learn to knit. Who knows? Maybe I don't know. I even might own some knitting needles. Can you knit with any kind of yarn? I was going to ask you that because I have so much yarn. I've got probably, those big, huge size bins that are, like this wide and tall. I've got like 6 of those full of beautiful merino weaving yarn and rayon and all different kinds of yarn. Can I knit with those if it's weaving yarn? It isn't
I
stretchy.
think so. I don't know very much about weaving yarn. It might be you can knit with anything. I don't know if you've seen like the memes and jokes and things of like grandma's knitting spaghetti. So like technically, yes, you can knit with anything. If you send me like the fiber content and stuff, I can give you a little bit more detail. But generally speaking, yes, there may be some projects that are better suited for the fiber that it is.
Maybe not the thing to learn on, huh? Maybe I'd be better off to learn with big giant yarn as big as my finger.
I don't like to teach on giant yarn and I don't like to teach on really thin yarn. I like to go in the middle because I find those needles are more comfortable in our hands. The big needles and the small needles are a little bit fumbly. So I like to go in the middle.
And you have stuff in this summit for somebody who's a total beginner or somebody who's like the most advanced knitter ever, right? You have everything, don't
I
you?
don't know if there's Well, in the VIP pass, there is a beginner knitting.
I
I
thought I saw some.
how super basic it is. But that's from Jewel at North Knits, and it is kind of beginner minimalist focused as far as knitting. That's her course that's in the VIP pass. Like I said, the things are worth way more than
Yeah.
like that course I think she sells for $60. That's just one thing that's in there. And the
Yeah, mine
whole
I think I sell for $27 that I'm giving away. And
yeah.
then you can win an hour with me, which
Yes, that is a
is
bingo prize.
yeah.
So we weren't going to set Carol up to do this with hundreds of people. So one lucky winner will get an hour with Carol. Carol is a lot of stuff also just generally focused on creativity and helping you find kind of your next step, where you want to go, a project that you want to do, and how to move forward, what steps you need to take.
You know,
I
I
feel
should say this too, because I keep forgetting to mention this to you, that I've got a regular price for those hours,
mhm.
and the link that you have, if they don't win but they still want one, it's $50 cheaper. I've got a price that's for just during the duration of the summit, so people.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you that I did that. Sorry.
I'll make sure to mention it on the bingo page so that if someone doesn't win but they were interested, that they can get a really nice discount.
I thought of it a long time ago because I figured that people, if they pay to be
Mhm.
in the summit, they ought to get some kind of benefit, so, but I just kept forgetting to tell you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. Um, yeah, so if anyone, does anyone have any questions for us? Anything that you're wondering, we would love to answer. Otherwise, the links are in the chat, but Carol's link for the summit is knithappysummit.com/Carol, keeping it nice and easy to remember. And again, that's just her affiliate link. So she'll get a thank you from me, but it costs you the same. Some people ask what the what the price is. So full disclosure, I'm happy to share that. So the upgraded ticket that gets you all the bonuses, all the everything, including the free 30 days in my membership is the action takers price is $67 for that for you get 30 minutes at that price. Or just the ongoing access to the presentations is $47. And then it will go up from there.
I can't believe we just talked for half an hour.
I can talk and talk.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Susan and Carol and Christina, it was nice to meet you. I don't know who else is on. Those are the only names I can see.
Yeah, we
Oh,
have
Patty. Okay. Oh, it's Sylvie.
Carol and Chris and Debbie and
Yeah,
Happiness.
there's a few people.
And
I
I
could only see like 4 names up on the top. Nice to meet you all.
and Leslie and Patty and Sylvie and Tamara. So I'm so glad that you all joined. This will be on, or already is on YouTube. So if you want to come back and watch anything, you can find it on my YouTube channel. I'll share that link also in the chat for you.
You have your other present, you have several other interviews of speakers up there. So if you guys want to check out the other speakers, you get to see it on our channel.
Yes, so that's all. I'm streaming everything to YouTube just because it's
I think it's
nice
a
to
great
have that
idea.
backup.
I know I just subscribed. I'm going to go back and watch some of these so I can get to know the other presenters. Thank you, Susan.
Wonderful. Yeah, so I'm really excited. Again, it starts next Thursday, 9 o'clock in the morning is when the first
Oh
group of
I
presentations.
can't believe it's coming up so fast. It's going to be over before we know it.
Yeah, it's something I work on 4 or 5 months out of the year. And really just trying to make the most wonderful event, trying to keep it accessible financially as I can. That's why there's that 48-hour access. But some people want that, ongoing access. I don't like to say lifetime, but basically that's what it means.
Well, and
um,
you've given a good long window for people in the UK. I think that's
right.
really nice too. Even
It
if
is
you sign up for free, you've got plenty of time to watch it. It's like, what is it, 48 hours, 24
48
hours?
hours, so you get 2 full days.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we have speakers from all over. We have speakers from Wales, from Belgium, someone joining us who I think she still lives there. If she doesn't, she did at some point live on the Isle of Fair Isle, which is a small remote island in as part of Scotland. And she's teaching Fair Isle. And you'll love her, Carol. She's a textile teacher professor.
I,
So
what's her name? I'm pretty sure I saw her thing. I've been eagerly
Dr.
investigating.
Jennifer Daly, I think is her last name.
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait to meet her. I'm really looking forward to the panels, and you guys take advantage of the panels. Jessica's got some great ideas for speaker panels.
Yes, we also have someone doing yoga and meditation for knitters. So she has some stretches to do with your hands if you experience, cramping and things like that, and a meditation with, I forget what they're called now off the top of my head. The big bowls and there's chimes.
Singing bowls,
Yeah, Tibetan maybe.
Tibetan singing bowls. Yep,
Yes. Yeah.
that's what
So
they are.
you'll see
And
that.
they're crystal. They're crystal usually.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going
And
to
so
be beautiful.
she's a certified yoga teacher, so it's not just like someone who said, "Oh, maybe if you stretch your hand this way, it'll be good." She knows what she's doing.
It's so great that you're including that because, especially, I mean, I don't know about other people. I'm getting older. I turned 70 this year, full disclosure.
Happy
And,
birthday.
it's, our hands as crafts women, as crafts people, we just have to take such good care of our hands. It's so important.
Yeah. And as long as we don't overdo it, I think that it's beneficial to keep your joints and your muscles, to keep them moving. It helps, I think, to keep some of those joint pains away.
Yeah.
The advice from the owner of the yarn shop that I used to work in said, if it hurts, stop.
Yeah.
It's your body's way of telling you that it needs a break. Don't push through and do a 12 hours more of knitting. If it hurts, there's a reason that it hurts.
It always
And
seems like it hurts when you're doing something really important or something you really
yeah,
want to be doing too.
yeah,
You know.
something you're really deep into or something
Yeah.
on a deadline, that blanket for someone's birthday or,
Yeah.
baby shower.
Yeah.
It's always those deadline projects. But as a
Yeah.
general rule, if you can take breaks, it's better for you. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jessica, for
Well,
hosting this, for having this conversation. I always enjoy talking to you so much.
I do too. The last thing I wanted to mention, and we talked about a lot of like fiber or knitting adjacent topics. So there are actual real knitting topics too. We're doing lace and cables and brioche and double knitting in the round. For those of you who have tried with me double knitting flat, I haven't tried it, but I hear it is easier because you don't have to worry about closing your sides. Double knitting is where you create a mirror image of the same fabric on the other side, and you're building the fabric, two layers of fabric at the same time as you knit.
Ooh,
So it's nice
fascinating.
and cozy for things like cowls and stuff like that.
Makes me want to have you knit me one.
Yeah. Yeah, so and we're doing cables and chart reading, estimating yarn, figuring out your gauge, how to modify sweaters, fearless garment making for those of you who have not tried knitting a sweater yet. So we've got kind of, as Carol said, doing my best to kind of span, to meet you where you're at in your knitting journey. So hopefully that there is something for everyone, no matter what stage of knitting that you're in.
And don't you have that special fix your mistake or fix that?
I do, yes. That is on Sunday. It's a masterclass of sorts. As much as a, knitting workshop can be a masterclass, but I'm teaching how to fix your own knitting mistakes, which for me was the single biggest thing that made a difference in my knitting, that made me feel more empowered, more secure, more willing to try different things. Because if I made a mistake, I could fix it where I was in my knitting without having to undo hours, days, weeks, months of work, without taking my project and putting it in the timeout or naughty corner for who knows how long before I decided what to do about it. So that's my favorite really thing to teach because it makes such a difference for people who don't know how to do that. So I taught it last year as well, and so I'm doing the same as last year with a few extra things that I didn't cover last year.
As a weaver, I can say that learning how to fix a mistake in the warp threading with the whole cloth on the loom is a deal breaker. So it's got to be the same kind of thing.
Yeah. If if you knit this whole sweater, I had someone who was in my membership, and she had health reasons, which is why she's not currently, but she was knitting a cabled sweater for her granddaughter's birthday. And this was not a baby sweater. It was, I think, the granddaughter's 16th birthday. So it was a full adult size sweater. And it had a cable on the sleeve, on each sleeve. And she found, as she was, almost done with the whole sweater, that the cable had crossed in the wrong direction in a couple places on one of the sleeves. So her options were to rip out the entire sleeve and give her granddaughter an IOU that I'll eventually finish it and give it to you. And she watched my lessons on how to undo a cable and reknit it, cross it in the correct direction and recreate just those stitches. So if the cable was over 8 stitches, you're just taking out those 8 stitches as far down as you need to go. And she reworked that section, and she gave the sweater to the granddaughter on time. So that's my win. And she shared progress photos as she went, which was the best part. To see like before and after was, as a teacher, you love, that opportunity to see the progress that someone makes. Yeah. And when they get to, fix their own thing, learn lessons that they can use over and over again in the future. So that was a good moment for me.
That's a great note to end this on.
Yeah.
There's nothing that cannot be fixed, no matter what it is, whether it's in knitting or in life.
I don't want to guarantee. But there are many, many, many things that once you have the idea of how to go about fixing things and recognizing your stitches and patterns in stitches, that can be fixed without undoing things. Most things. I don't want to make any promises.
Well, you can't promise that with life either, but you can certainly go into it with the positive thing. And it's just going to be fine. Even if there's a mistake, the Guatemalan weavers actually deliberately put a mistake into everything they make, because otherwise they say that humans are not supposed to be perfect. So they deliberately do that. And
I've heard that from a few cultures. I think I've heard that about Amish as well. That no one is, no human is supposed to be perfect, or that a piece of their soul gets trapped and the mistake lets it out. Whatever it is, we can call it a design element.
There you go. There you go.
Yes. All right.
And the beauty of imperfection.
Yes, absolutely. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Carol is also in the Facebook group for the summit. After you register, you'll get an invitation to join us over in that group. And I'm
in your Facebook group too. I'm in your actual
my Double the Stitches group too.
I'm in the Double the Stitches group, so I'm easy to find. And I have a Facebook group too if you want to get creative. It's Creative Art Space with Carol LeBaron.
Perfect. All right. I can't wait to get to know you all. Thank you for joining us tonight, and I hope to see you at the summit next week.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.